with the TUCANO 500, so the hybrid system, we have the straw coming up the elevator into the APS, from the APS into the drum, and then the drum to the chevron into the rotor itself. With this system, the material is pretty much coming out at about 5 meters a second into the APS, and then it's accelerated into about 20 meters a second to go through the drum and the concave itself. Once we're in the concave, we have got a number of things we can do in this area. So right at the very beginning, we've obviously got the stone trap. And then behind the stone trap, we've got the APS concave. And on the APS concave, we've got the de-awning plate. So that's where we can put in or take out. So in other words, engage, disengage the de-awning plates. This allows the crop to go from the APS all the way into the drum itself. So the crop has to go into the drum. It can't come out there at the APS itself. So this means we can increase the threshing of the crop. The same at the transition between the APS concave and the main concave, we can put the threshing segment in. And if we put the threshing segment in, we actually present the crop at a sharper angle to the actual drum itself. And by doing that, we are now increasing the amount of threshing we do on the crop. So with those hard threshing crops like barley, etc., the threshing segment, a good thing to put in. As we go further back, obviously the drum itself can be increased RPM, decreased the RPM. With the rotor can be separately increased or decreased its speed to then increase the separation or decrease separation. We also have the rotor cover plates. There are 2 sets on a TUCANO, and these can only be operated manually from the outside, so you can't press a button on the receiver screen to then make them open or close. You can close the front one and leave the back one open, or close both of them and vice versa, open the back and then open the front. So you can't get the 2 mixed up, they can only open and close in that sort of sequence. Rotor cover plates can be used in more than one way. So 1, we can close them to increase the separation, and 2, we can also close them to help with those extra trashy crops by getting that trash out the back of the machine. So here you see the rotor cover plates opening, the back one opening and the front one opening. As I say, this is done from the outside. The crop then comes down onto the prep floor, then drops off onto the prep pans. And the prep pans at the bottom there are full length plastic, and they can come out the front. With the cleaning system, with the fan, we have not only just fan speed, we also have the baffle plate that we can adjust the angle of the airflow through that first drop off. And then we've also got the throttle valve where we can increase or decrease the volume of air on that drop off as well. So in your different crops and different crop settings, we can then adjust that to make it increase or decrease the airflow to help with the separation of the crop when it comes off that drop off, that first drop off there. Then we go on to the sieves, and with the sieves themselves, we have 0 to 20 mil adjustment, whether you do it electrically or manually by a lever. The returns, we have the returns going up and coming onto the front of the APS. With that, you can see about the shaft of the returns auger from the cab, so only half of it actually full. That's about as maximum we would like to see in that area. That means you've got a little bit returning around the machine to get that extra threshing involved. With the clean grain elevator, obviously that goes up into the tank, and you can see the thresh crop from the actual cab of the combine itself. With the chopper and the chaff spreader on the back, there's a number of things we can do here. So the chaff spreader, we can rotate it forwards or backwards, and by that we actually increase or decrease the actual spreading area, so we can spread it wider or narrower with that. So by unlocking it on the right hand side, we can then push it up or down just to make that fine adjustment. In the back with the chopper itself, we obviously got the rotating blades, and a good point here is to always make sure your chopper blades are kept sharp, both the rotating knife and the stationary knife. And if you do replace the knives themselves, always check and make sure that the stripper plate is the correct distance from the new knives. Going back to the spreader, depending on the spreader itself, you might have just a standard spreader, or you might have like we have here. So here, putting it into work and out of work, we can also adjust the height of it to change the spread pattern, as well as on the back we have the levers which we can then move it wider or narrower to change that spread pattern.